That night, the words hit me like a thunderclap in a silent room, echoing through the crowd of 200 guests who froze mid-conversation, glasses halfway to their lips, smiles fading into awkward stares. Get out, Mom. My fiancé doesn't want you here. It wasn't just the humiliation that burned. It was the finality, the way those syllables severed something deep inside me, a bond I'd nurtured for decades now frayed beyond repair. My name is Eleanor Harlan, 58 years young, a widow who's stared down storms both literal and figurative on this sprawling Texas ranch. This is the tale of how one glittering wedding day unraveled the fabric of my family, exposing threads of greed, betrayal, and unspoken resentments that had been quietly weaving themselves into our lives. But woven through that darkness is a story of redemption, of rediscovering the fierce strength that comes from loving deeply and losing even deeper. It's the kind of story that makes you question your own relationships, wonder if the people you hold closest could ever turn away, and ponder what you'd do if faced with the same impossible choice. As I drove away from that reception hall, tears blurring the winding country road, I couldn't help but think, how does a mother's love survive when it's tested not by tragedy, but by indifference? Stick with me through this journey. You might find pieces of your own heart in the cracks of mine. The preparations for the wedding had consumed me for months, each detail a labor of love poured into what I believed would be a celebration of continuity, of passing the torch to the next generation. The ranch, Harlan's Haven, as my great-grandfather had named it back in 1892, sprawled across 500 acres of rolling hills dotted with ancient live oaks, their gnarled branches like wise old guardians watching over the land. I'd woken at dawn every day for weeks, coordinating with florists from Austin who promised cascades of white hydrangeas and lilies to transform the garden into a fairy tale setting. The band, a local bluegrass group with fiddles that could make even the stoic cowboys tap their boots, had been booked since last fall. And the tables, oh, those tables. I'd spent countless insomnia-fueled nights embroidering the linen cloths myself, my needle threading patterns of intertwined vines and flowers, symbols of growth and family unity that now felt like cruel irony. I chose my outfit with care. The sapphire blue dress that had been my mother's, passed down like an heirloom of quiet elegance. It hugged my figure just right, not flashy but timeless, the color echoing the vast Texas skies I loved. My hair, streaked with silver from years of sun and sorrow, I twisted into a classic chignon, securing it with pins that had once belonged to my grandmother. I wanted to embody dignity, the matriarch welcoming a new chapter. Jackson, my only son, was marrying Sophia, a woman who'd breezed into our lives 2 years prior like a city wind carrying sense of ambition and change. Her eyes were a striking hazel, but her smile always seemed calculated, as if measuring the worth of everything around her, including me. As I entered the reception hall, the air thick with the aroma of barbecue and fresh-baked cornbread, Sophia's gaze locked onto me from across the room. She didn't greet me. Instead, she leaned into Jackson, her lips moving in a hushed whisper. He nodded, his broad shoulders tensing under his tailored tuxedo, and strode toward me with purposeful steps. I knew that look, the clenched jaw, the averted eyes, from his teenage years when he'd wrecked the old Ford truck or skipped chores to chase after some fleeting crush. "Mom," he murmured, pulling me aside near a cluster of potted ferns. "Sophia, She thinks the dress is pulling focus. The blue, it's too vibrant, standing out too much on her day. The words landed like a gut punch, but I steadied myself, drawing on the resilience forged from years of ranch life. All right, honey, I can change. Got a spare in the car, a simple gray one. His face hardened further.
No, ma'am.
It's more than that. She's on edge. Says you've judged her from day one, made her feel unwelcome. The band struck up a lively tune, guests milling about with plates of brisket and coleslaw, oblivious to the drama unfolding mere feet away. I felt my voice rise in disbelief. Jackson, I'm your mother. I orchestrated this whole event, picked the venue, handled the vendors, covered half the costs out of the ranch fund. His eyes flashed with something foreign, anger mixed with impatience. And you think that buys you the right to ruin my wife's special day? He didn't whisper that time. His voice boomed, drawing eyes from every corner. The hall hushed.
Get out, Mom.
My fiancé doesn't want you here. Time slowed. Whispers rippled through the crowd like wind through dry grass. I scanned the faces, old neighbors, distant cousins, Jackson's college buddies, all witnessing my expulsion. Something inside me shattered, but I refused to let it show. No tears, no scene. I nodded curtly, clutched my beaded purse, and walked out with my head high, heels clicking on the polished wood floor. Outside, the evening air was cool, carrying the faint lowing of cattle from the distant pastures. I slid into my pickup, the engine rumbling to life, and drove the 10 miles back to the ranch. The keys, those ancient iron keys to the main house, barn, and gates, dangled from a chain around my neck, a constant weight my father had bestowed upon me in his final days. This land is yours to safeguard, Ellie, he'd rasped, his hand trembling. Don't let it slip away, not even to blood. Jackson had eyed those keys covetously ever since Sophia proposed, modernizing our home. Home. I pulled up to the weathered adobe house, its walls baked by a century of sun, and let myself in. The sapphire dress came off in a whisper of fabric, folded meticulously and tucked into the armoire beside faded photos of happier times. Sleep evaded me. I paced the creaky floors, memories flooding like a burst dam. The next morning, as the sun crested the hills, painting the fields gold, my phone buzzed. Jackson's name glowed on the screen. I hesitated, heart pounding, then answered. Mom, his voice cracked with fatigue. Can we talk? Come to the ranch. I ended the call without a word, pouring myself a mug of strong Colombian roast, the same blend I'd brewed for Jackson since he was old enough to help with morning feedings. Back then, we were unbreakable. After his father, Thomas, died in a freak tractor accident 15 years ago, leaving me a widow at 43, Jackson stepped up. At 12, he was all gangly limbs and determination. I'll fix the gate, Mom, he'd insist, tools dwarfing his small hands. You're still a kid, I'd protest. Not anymore. I'm the man now. We rebuilt together. He learned to brand calves, negotiate hay prices, mend irrigation lines during scorching summers. Nights when grief choked me, he'd wrap his arms around me. It'll be okay, Mom. I got you. The ranch flourished under our care, cattle herds grew, crops yielded bountifully. When he graduated college with a business degree, he returned without hesitation. This is my place with you. We'd share sunsets on the wraparound porch, coffee steaming, dreaming of his future family inheriting it all. My kids will chase fireflies here, learn to rope like Grandpa, he'd say. Find a girl who gets this life. But Sophia wasn't that girl. Met in a sleek Dallas bar during a cattle auction trip, she was all high-rises and hedge funds, her world one of spreadsheets and stilettos. Her first visit. "You actually live like this?" she'd asked, nose wrinkling at the antique quilts and sepia portraits. Jackson defended it, but cracks formed. He stayed in the city more, pushed for efficiency upgrades, selling off acres, installing solar panels that clashed with the rustic charm. "Sophia's got ideas, Mom. We could turn this into a gold mine, event space, ecotourism." The phone rang again. I picked up this time. "Mom, I need the keys." Cold, scripted. Her voice murmured in the background. "Why?" I pressed.
Pause.
"To start renovations. Update the kitchen. Maybe add a guest wing." Those updates meant erasing history. The oak cabinets Thomas had carved, the stone fireplace where we'd warmed ourselves after blizzards. "That's not happening, Jackson," he snapped. "Yesterday was drama enough."
Drama?
"You banished me from your wedding." Silence. "Sophia says we need to evolve. Can't cling to the past." Evolve. Her mantra. We're staying in Dallas. Better for her career. The dream of grandkids on the ranch evaporated. But the keys? Half's mine per Dad's will. True, but Thomas had added safeguards. I held decision-making power until my passing or incapacity. He'd foreseen this. "Keys stay with me." I heard Sophia's hiss. "You're selfish, Mom." I recounted the stranger's words from the hall. "He's chosen. Respect it and yourself." The call ended. I wandered the house, fingers tracing walls etched with growth marks from Jackson's childhood. In Thomas's study, his final letter. "Protect it all, my love. You're unbreakable." Tears fell for the living, not the dead. The keys burned against my skin. I sensed the battle lines drawing. Have you ever felt the ground shift under your feet? Betrayal from the one you trusted most? What secrets did it unearth in your own life? The storm was brewing, and I was about to learn just how far they'd go. You have to hear what happened next. It's the twist that changes everything. Days blurred into a haze of solitude and simmering resolve. I threw myself into ranch work, mending fences under the relentless sun, herding cattle with the help of old Miguel, our loyal foreman who'd been with us since Thomas's time. "Senora Eleanor, the boy will come around," he'd say, his weathered face creased with concern. But 3 days passed without a word. I brewed double pots of coffee each morning, half expecting Jackson's truck to rumble up the drive, dust pluming behind. The phone stayed silent, save for vendor calls about unpaid wedding bills. I'd footed them all, a final gift now tasting bitter. On the 4th day, pride cracked. I dialed him. "Mom." Relief tinged his tone. "We need to talk, not like this." I invited them for dinner, swallowing ego. Meatloaf, your favorite. Apple crisp for dessert. Whispers on his end, Sophia's input. "She thinks it's iffy. Please, son. Let's mend this."
He softened.
"Tomorrow at 7. The next day, I transformed. Kneaded dough for fresh rolls, slow-roasted brisket with herbs from my garden, set the dining table with heirloom silver and candles flickering like hopeful stars. I chose a muted beige dress, pearls from Thomas on our anniversary. Nothing to overshadow. The keys nestled hidden. At 7 sharp, headlights pierced the dusk. Jackson emerged first, crisp shirt and jeans, hair gelled, looking like a stranger playing familiar. Sophia followed, in a form-fitting burgundy gown, heels clicking on the stone path, phone glued to her palm. "Evening, Eleanor," she said, smile polished but eyes appraising. "Smells divine." Inside, she scanned the rooms like an auctioneer, valuing the antique rugs, the hand-hewn beams. "So authentic," she commented, snapping discreet photos. Dinner unfolded tensely. Jackson savored the meatloaf. "Mom, this is home." Sophia nibbled. "Rich flavors, my stomach's sensitive." I apologized, offered alternatives. Then the words, "I'm sorry. I overstepped. Your marriage, your rules." Sophia beamed. "That's gracious." Jackson gripped my hand. "I regret the scene too." We toasted, laughter forced but warming. Sophia excused herself. Minutes ticked. I checked. The bathroom empty. Down the hall, Thomas's study door ajar. There she was, back turned, phone photographing the desk, ledgers, deeds, the will. "Sophia?" She whirled, feigning surprise.
Oh,
"This room's fascinating. Vintage charm." "It's private." She pocketed the phone.
door was open.
Saw the... Back at the table, chatter resumed. Honeymoon tales, career boasts. They left at 10, hugs cold. I inspected the study. Papers shifted subtly. Intrusion. Leverage hunt. The reconciliation was reconnaissance. Betrayal deepened. Have you invited wolves in sheep's clothing, only to find fangs bared? The real fight loomed, secrets unraveling. Stay tuned. The revelations will leave you breathless. The weeks following that deceptive dinner morphed into a siege of subtlety and strategy. I fortified my defenses, changing locks on the study and barn, installing a simple camera system Miguel helped set up, nothing fancy, just enough to capture any uninvited guests. The ranch became my sanctuary and battleground, each sunrise a reminder of what was at stake. I dove deeper into daily routines, rising before dawn to check on the newborn calves, their soft moos a balm to my frayed nerves, negotiating with suppliers for winter feed, my voice steady despite the inner turmoil, evenings spent poring over old journals, Thomas's handwriting a ghostly companion. This land holds our souls, he'd written once. Now it held my resolve. The harassment began innocuously, a voicemail from Jackson. "Mom, let's discuss those upgrades. Sophia's architect has sketches." I ignored it. Then emails, forwarded plans for revitalization, tearing out the original kitchen for granite counters, converting the guest barn into a conference center. Passive income, Mom. For all of us. All of us meaning them. I replied curtly, "Not interested." Sophia's touch was evident in the glossy proposals, her firm's logo stamped boldly. Then the lawyer arrived, unannounced, in a gleaming SUV that looked out of place on the dusty drive. A slick man in a suit, briefcase in hand. "Mrs. Harlan, on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Harlan, I'm here to review property documents for potential joint ventures." I stood firm on the porch, arms crossed. "Tell them the ranch isn't for sale or rent. Good day." He left a formal letter, veiled threats of legal action if I obstructed co-ownership rights. That night, around the fire pit where Jackson and I had once roasted marshmallows, I burned the letter, flames licking the paper like hungry tongues. Embers danced skyward, mirroring the anger sparking in me. How had it come to this? Flashbacks haunted me. Jackson as a toddler, chubby hands grasping fence posts. As a teen, helping birth a foal under storm clouds. As a young man, vowing to preserve our legacy. Sophia had rewritten his script. A week later, Jackson appeared alone, truck kicking up gravel. No Sophia, a small mercy. He looked haggard, circles under his eyes. Mom, just hear me out. I brewed coffee, led him to the porch. He spoke of opportunities, financial security. I countered with memories. Remember the flood of '08? We saved the herd together. This place is us. He shifted uncomfortably. Sophia needs stability. The city's expensive. And you'd sell our soul for it? Silence. He left frustrated, but his parting glance held a flicker. Doubt? Longing? The demands escalated. A certified mail. Petition for partition sale, forcing division or auction if I refused cooperation. Panic gripped me briefly, but I called my attorney, old Mr. Caldwell, who drafted Thomas's will. In his cluttered office downtown, papers yellowed with age spread before us. The clause is bulletproof, Eleanor. Thomas ensured you hold the reins. Relief washed over me, but wariness lingered. Back home, I unearthed the cedar chest in the attic, dust motes swirling in the beam of my flashlight. Beneath folded quilts and the sapphire dress lay a locked box Thomas had given me on his deathbed. Open when the time comes, he'd whispered. Inside, a supplemental will, notarized but unfiled, granting me full ownership with a conditional trust for Jackson, only if he demonstrated commitment to the land's preservation. A handwritten note. If he strays from our values, use this. Love always, T. Tears streamed as I clutched it. Thomas had anticipated betrayal, trusted my judgment. I filed it discreetly the next day, Caldwell nodding approvingly. This seals it. Jackson's calls turned desperate. Meet us, Mom. No more games. I agreed, but at the ranch, family only. They arrived tense, Sophia's composure cracking. On the porch, I revealed all. The original safeguards, the new document. Jackson blanched. Dad, he didn't trust me? Sophia snarled. This is coercion. No, I said calmly. It's love. Protecting what he built. Arguments flared. Accusations of manipulation. Pleas for compromise. Jackson stormed off, Sophia trailing. Days of radio silence followed. Then a text. I'm sorry, Mom.
Can we talk?
Alone. Hope flickered. He returned, hat in hand, eyes red-rimmed. Over coffee, truths spilled, Sophia's pressures, his fears of failure, regrets over the wedding. I lost myself. We talked for hours, bridges mending slowly. The ranch remained mine, keys secure. Months later, Jackson visited regularly, San Sofia, their marriage straining under the weight of exposed motives. He helped with chores, rediscovering joy in the soil. The ending wasn't tidy, wounds lingered. But in quiet moments, watching sunsets together, I felt Thomas's presence. Love had bent us, nearly broken us, but ultimately bound us anew. Have you faced such a crossroads, choosing self over surrender? What emerged from your ruins? This story's heart lies in its raw truth. Family isn't perfect, but it's worth fighting for. If it resonates, share yours. Together, we heal. The siege intensified in ways I hadn't anticipated, turning the ranch into a fortress of memories under assault. Mornings now began with vigilance, scanning the horizon for unfamiliar vehicles, double-checking gates that had stood open for decades. Miguel, sensing the shift, patrolled more frequently, his loyal dog Rico at his heels. Family troubles past, Senora, he'd assure me, but his eyes betrayed worry. The legal barges came weekly, subpoenas for financial records, demands for appraisals. Sophia's influence was unmistakable, her corporate law background weaponized against me. I countered through Caldwell, filing motions to delay, citing the supplemental will as trump card. Flashbacks intruded constantly, pulling me into the past like undertows. I remembered Thomas proposing under the oldest oak, rings simple but promises eternal. Jackson's birth in the midst of a nor'easter, his tiny cries drowning out the wind. Family barbecues with neighbors, laughter echoing across fields now threatened by development. One evening, rummaging in the attic for old deeds, I found a box of Jackson's childhood treasures, drawings of cowboys on horseback, a broken slingshot, letters he'd written me from college camp. Miss you, Mom. Can't wait to come home to the ranch. My chest ached. How had that boy become this man, swayed by a woman who saw dollar signs in every acre? A turning point came mid-month. An anonymous tip from a mutual friend. Sophia had been inquiring about ranch values at local real estate offices, floating ideas for luxury condos. Fury ignited. I confronted Jackson via phone. Is this her plan? Erase us for profit. He stammered denials, but doubt crept in. She's just exploring options. Options that destroy our legacy? The call ended in shouts. That night, a storm raged, thunder shaking the house, rain lashing windows like accusations. I sat in Thomas's study, letter in hand, vowing to fight. Jackson appeared unannounced days later, soaked from a sudden downpour. Mom, I need to see the will myself. I showed him, watching emotions war on his face, shock, hurt, anger. Dad thought I'd fail? He thought you'd need guidance. Tears welled. I've been blind. Sophia called him mid-conversation. He ignored it. We talked deep into night, unearthing buried resentments, his feeling overshadowed by Thomas's memory, my overprotectiveness. Dawn brought fragile peace. He left promising change, but Sophia didn't yield. A court date loomed, petition hearing. Caldwell prepared meticulously, but nerves frayed me. The day arrived. I dressed in my Sunday best, keys around my neck like armor. In the sterile courtroom, Jackson sat beside Sophia, face conflicted. Testimonies flew, her lawyer painting me as obstructive, Caldwell countering with Thomas's intent. When Jackson took the stand, tension peaked. I withdraw support for petition, he said, voice steady.
Gasps.
Sophia's face contorted. What? This land is Mom's to protect. I see that now. Court adjourned in my favor. Afterward, Jackson approached. I'm filing for divorce. She wanted the ranch more than me. We embraced, tears mingling. The drive home was cathartic, ranch welcoming like an old friend. Months passed. Jackson moved back temporarily, helping rebuild, not structures, but bonds. We planted new oaks, symbolizing fresh starts. Sunsets on the porch became ritual again, coffee shared, stories exchanged. The ending? Emotional waves, joy in reconciliation, sorrow for lost time, gratitude for resilience. Thomas's spirit lingered, approving. Love, tested and true, prevailed. Have you reclaimed a lost connection? What emotions surged in victory? This tale reminds us, families fracture, but hearts can mend stronger. Share if it moves you. Our stories connect us all.